How's it going, guys? I want to make a little quick video about edging, and I just want to talk about, is it worse than a full relapse or not? This is something that I have searched a lot, and I have been doing retention on and off for 10 years. I have maybe 5 to 8, I don't know how many streaks that have lasted like 5 to 6 months of retention. The longest I've gone was 9 months. So I mean, I have a lot of experience. As I said, most of the time I am celibate. Over this past 10 years, most of the time I've been celibate. But so I have a good opinion about relapsing, a full relapse versus an edge. And a lot of people, because I was looking online and I downloaded some videos, and a few people were saying that the edging is worse than the full relapse, than ejaculation. And I know for a fact that is false. Why? Because in my experience, every time, like, if I edge, you lose some benefits because you enter like into a lustful state, so your vibration changes. You burn some energy because lust consumes that spiritual energy, the ojas. And you also lost some sperm because your body thought it was going to ejaculate, so it kind of like got some sperm ready to ejaculate, that at the end of the day did not get ejaculated in that moment, but I think gets released through urine. And so during all my sprees, there's been a few sprees that have been like, quote unquote, perfect. Well, not have been perfect, but sorry, I'm kind of tired. But I think during all my sprees there's been at least one time that I've watched like porn and edged, and some of my sprees, like the time I did 9 months, like there were periods of time where I edged and watched porn for like 2 weeks, and miraculously I did not ejaculate. And I know for a fact that even if you edge like heavy hardcore duty, heavy duty, if you retain, like, you kind of get to the finish point quick, like, how to say, you get to the finish point. Oh my god, I'm so sorry, I've been working all day non-stop. Okay, so you basically do get to the finish line, or like the benefits. Like, for example, since I've already done this so many times, I already kind of know like how I'm gonna be feeling at the 5 months, at the 3 months, how's my face gonna look, how's my eyes gonna look, the benefits. There's levels of benefits, right? Like I said, I've only known the 9th to 9 months, but when I edge and I don't have a full relapse, when I get to the 3 months, I am kind of around where I should be at the 3 month level. When I get, even if so on and so forth, like, you still kind of, it obviously detracts a little bit, but you're still kind of in that direction. But when you have a full relapse, even if it's one time, like, it really sets you back, like, at like a 3 weeks or a month. And when you get to that time, when you get to the that milestone, the 3 months, the 4 months, you're not there. You're where you kind of lose like a month, more or less, maybe more. Like, the more you've been retaining, it's like the more you lose. So for example, if you're like on the 5 or 6 months, if you have like an ejaculation at the 5 months, it doesn't take you to the 4 months, it takes you to like the 3 months. It's hard to know exactly, but that's kind of how I've been experiencing it. But edging may take you back like a week and a half or something like this. I'm not sure exactly, but it's really minimal and in relation to a full relapse. So the people that say that, oh, if you're edging, you know, just that's worse than a full relapse. You might as well relapse, and then you get the personal clarity. Trust me, guys, that's bad advice. If you're edging, don't relapse. And I, because I've known this firsthand, because I have a good amount of experience with this, I know deep in my heart that a full ejaculation is much worse than just the bit than the watching porn and edging, because I know it so well in my heart because of all the experience. Even when I'm in a lustful state and I'm watching porn and I'm edging, like, I know for a fact that that it's gonna be better if I retain, even if I'm like really like already edged a lot, watched worse shit. um so because of my experience, and I've heard people say, I've heard guys say like, oh, it's worse to edge than to relapse, and I follow that advice, and every time I'm like, no, it's actually not true. And when for example, I almost relapsed like a week ago or something, because I was like really sick, and that's kind of like I'm weak and I couldn't sleep and I'm bored and I'm like feeling like shit, and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna watch a little. I was starting to peak, and obviously that turned into like a full-blown edging session. I almost relapsed, like I was so close, and I'm so happy that I didn't, because like 4 days after that, my energy like reached kind of like a new height. Like I said in my previous video, like it was like yesterday I was waiting for the elevator, and there was this couples with a baby. We were waiting for like 2 minutes for the elevator, and the baby was just like staring at me like nonstop for like 2 minutes. Like the parents were like trying to break his glaze, and he was just like hypnotized by me. And we were all laughing, like the parents were laughing, I was laughing, because the baby was just like staring in the most funny way, like for the whole 2 minutes, like in awe. And but when I got on the elevator after that, coming back, I was alone in the elevator, and I looked at myself in the mirror. I was like, holy shit, like I got surprised by my energy, by the size of my eyes. Like my actual eyeball becomes like bigger. It's like they get bigger, and also just my expression. I was like, god damn, I look so fucking good. Like just in my skin. And I know for a fact, like if I would have relapsed like a week ago, I wouldn't have had that. I wouldn't have looked that good. And so the people that tell you that just have a relapse, it's edging is worse than a full ejaculation. It's not. And some of them say like, well, because the brain, you're like releasing a lot of dopamine, and because you're edging, like it's worse than a relapse, because if you have a full relapse, like at least you stop burning dopamine. But that's kind of like, if you really think about it, that's really fucking stupid, because the dopamine is just one part, and the benefits of retention are not just dopamine. There's like it's just an enormous amount of things that goes into it, and dopamine is just one part of it. But the when you release, it's like, okay, you stop watching porn let's say you're edging, and like they do this graph where you're like, they tell you, "Look, you're up here, so it's better to relapse, so you stop burning your dopamine." But by ejaculating, you're losing like so much more nutrition and vitality and power than the stupid dopamine that you're burning on the edging. Okay, so I know 100% that what I'm telling you is correct, because my experience has really shown me that this is 100% the case. It's completely obvious. It's not even close, and it just makes sense. When we're talking about semen retention, that's what we're talking about: semen retention. And what are the benefits come from? They come from semen retention. Yes, there's benefits from not watching porn and everything, but we're talking about semen retention. When you stop the retention, when you release, what you lose is so much more than anything that you're losing while you're edging. That is not comparable. So maybe you need the experience to see for yourself, but I have 10 years doing this, and just trust me 100%. If you're edging, first of all, don't edge, obviously. But if you catch yourself and you're already edging, you're like already doing it, remember this video and remember these words. It's never worth it. That's what I tell myself when I'm edging, which happens more than it should. But I'm kind of having a new, because I didn't relapse this last time. I'm having like a energy, like I'm still having the benefits of retention, and one of those benefits has been like increased like mental powers and something. But I'm having like I'm kind of like doubling my resolve and being like, you know what, I'm not gonna be lukewarm anymore. I'm gonna be more like completely celibate, and mentally, physically. Like, I'm not gonna edge anymore, and I'm having kind of like a resurgence of motivation. But it all came from retaining, from not relapsing this last time. If I would have relapsed this last time, I know I wouldn't have felt like this motivation and kind of drive to keep going. But anyway, what I was saying is that when I'm edging myself, I always know in my heart that no matter how bad I'm in the edging, like how much I want the release, how hot the the porn I am looking at or whatever, no matter how much my body and everything in my mind and in my soul wants to relapse, and my mind is like convincing me to relapse, no matter how much that is, I know deep in my heart that it's never worth it. That is never a good idea, no matter what. It's always better to retain, period. Like how can I explain that? But it's really that important, and it's, I just wish that I wouldn't have relapsed all these other times, because sometimes even one relapse like takes me back so far, like months. I don't know how to explain it, but like one ejaculation, like it brings me back so much. And when I'm like really advanced, so always retain, no matter how far you're into it, no matter if you're having sex and you're in the middle of the act and you're like, this is worth it. It's never worth it. It's just whatever, a few seconds of quote unquote pleasure. And you also have to remember that when you ejaculate, like semen retention is a progressive benefit kind of situation. So it's like the semen that you retain today is gonna build on the semen that you're gonna have tomorrow, or better said, tomorrow is gonna build on all that you have today. The next day is gonna be, it's like a break. So it's like you get +1 benefits today. Tomorrow you get +1, but you already have +1, so now you have +2. The next day is, if you retain again, it's +1, but now it's total +3. So the more you stack this kind of days, the more you retain. It's like the more powerful the all the benefits are, obviously. And but this is the thing that I want to say. This so let's say so today I get +1 because I retained. This +1 from today, because sometimes when we forget, but when you release, actually I'm gonna make that. Well, I'm gonna finish this thought, but I want to make it another video because I think this idea is very important. But when you release that +1 of today, you lose, like that +1 of benefits, you lose forever. You know what I mean? We only have so much that we're gonna make in our lifetime. And sometimes we think, like when we're when we're edging and stuff like this, we think that oh, if I just if I ejaculate, well, I'm gonna make more. I'm gonna be, I can retain later. And if I'm at the 30-day count today, well, in 30 days I'll be again in 30 days. Yes, that's true, but you lost. But those 30 days, those new 30 days, those are new. Those are different. You could have had those 30 plus on top of the other 30 plus, and now you'd be at 60. And those 30 that you lost are lost forever. And that +1, so let's say that +1 is like +1 confidence, +1 luck, +1 all the benefits that retention has, those little like +1, all those +1s you lose for your entire life. So it's like the other side obviously is that if you retain, like if I just keep retaining, for example, for the rest of my life, like if I were to retain for the rest of my life, the retention that I did today, those +1, I'm gonna get the benefits of that my entire life. So it's like almost like compound interest. I don't know. I'm hoping I'm making sense, but essentially, if you retain, the benefits of that retention stays with you your whole life. Yeah, if you're, let's just say in 1 year, right? So if I start retaining today, in 1 year I'm gonna have, and just using this analogy, like +1, we're gonna have plus 365. So that's why your life is gonna be amazing, because your life is gonna be lived in that voltage of benefits, luck, charisma. You're gonna be at plus 365. But if you and so the next year you're gonna be at plus what's 365 times 2, like 700, and something, and that +1 of today you're gonna take for the rest of your life. There's gonna be a little part of the benefits that you're gonna be enjoying for the rest of your life. So it's accumulates. And when you lose that +1, you lose that +1 over all your life. So if you think about it, 1 day of retention is, let's just say, it gives you +1, but in a year, that, because it's 365 days, that +1 of 1 day, it's plus 365. Only that is good. You're gonna get plus 365 out of that +1. Just of that +1. Of the second one, you're gonna get another plus 365 of the other one. So yeah, it gets into a huge number. But one retention, so when you retain, that retention is paying off every day. It's giving you +1, +1, +1, +1, +1, +1, +1 for the rest of your life. That retention, and then the next day you put on top of that. So it's like now it's +2, +2, +2, +3, +4, +5. But the benefits of that retention, you only retained it. Let's say you retained it. That is only the what your body created in one day, but it pays off every day, forever. So it's the ultimate body hack, the ultimate life hack, because it builds on itself. It's paying off constantly, and you're adding to it. So everything is pushing like an insane amount of benefits every day, and every day grows and grows. So when you have 1 year, every day you're pumping out +365, +366, +367. So it's like an enormous amount of benefits that are every day giving you those benefits, and every day growing as you retain. So I hope that made sense. It's the way I see it, and so I hope to motivate you, and please subscribe. I'm gonna try to put more videos about this, and I'm very excited to. I don't know. I feel somehow in my heart that I'm more dedicated to this path than before, because I was kind of like, I don't know, something about this past week made me more stronger in my pursuit. And I've been listening a lot to the Jewish peoples, and like if you look in the YouTube, like Wasting Seed, like Torah or Talmud, they talk a lot about it, the Jewish religion, Judaism, how it's like, they talk a lot about how wasting seed is like the worst thing. And so I don't know, it's always important to search for these videos, hear them 1,000 times if you need. Like, we really need to program our mind so that we are strong in the face of temptation. And I think that's had to do with why I got like a new resolve. It's like some of this, like so because when you listen to, I was listening a lot to like this pickup artists, and the pickup artists like talk about, obviously, like, yeah, I've had sex with all this woman and sex, and you should enjoy your life, and healthy sex life. And you start to get sucked into that. You start to get sucked into the idea of sex. But then you listen to this, like, Jewish people and their religion, and they're talking about the immorality, the perversion, how it's like evil. And I'm like, I don't know, I resonate with that more. And all the benefits, they even talk about benefits in about not wasting seed, how it's like it makes you holy and all this stuff. But it kind of like, it's different values, because the seduction people and the whole world nowadays is kind of like a hedonistic mentality, like a lot of atheism and stuff like this, about life's purpose is just to enjoy your body, and to get as much pleasure out of it as you can before you die and become nothing. I don't believe that. I don't believe in this atheism. I do believe in reincarnation, and I'm pretty spiritual. But the point is that for me, at this point in my life, I'm starting to. I was really thinking about, because I was like ready to go back into dating, And I was like, okay, I'm gonna start dating. I wanna have sex with a ton of girls, and and all this stuff. But then something in me is like, I already did that, and I already know where that path is gonna lead me. I already kind of like, I don't want to live. I don't need to live the same thing again, and it doesn't motivate me as much as before. I'm 31. When I was younger, it was like, I guess I had to live it. I mean, I haven't been with a ton of women, but enough to kind of realize that it's kind of the same thing. And I was just thinking that, I don't know what motivates me now more, and especially kind of lately, this past week or so, that I kind of refound myself is like I'm more motivated with the higher things in life. Not like bodily pleasure and lust. I'm more motivated about achieving a higher state of spirituality and energy and being, and how is that gonna affect everything in my life. Because as well as the more you retain, you also become smarter, and eventually you become a genius. Like, I do feel when I have a relapse, like the next day, like my mind is not as sharp. It's like, and not only the next day, it takes a while, like a month, to get back to my, like right now I feel like I have a lot of mental power. Like my mind is just like sharper. Like I'm more smart. I'm more driven. It's like, I'm more driven to higher things, like not pleasing myself sexually or in any other way. I'm like more motivated on the higher values, like discipline, creativity, learning, creating, things, creating inventions, creating things like that, business, my spirituality, like all these things. Like when you get to like these points of 5 months, 6 months, like I said, my relapse was early February, so technically I'm at 5 months right now. But that was one relapse, and I was like 2 months or so retaining after that. So it's like I'm around 6, 7 months, whatever. So let's say that in the last 7 months I've had one relapse. So, and then after that I had only like a week or so of relapse, and after that it was like 6 months. So I don't know where I'm at right now. I feel like I'm at around the 6 month energy level, even though I'm 5 months since my last relapse. I'm like at 6 months, maybe even getting close to 7, because I had retained from before. But whatever. What I want to say is that when you start retaining and start doing this, like there comes a point where you start to have cravings for higher intellectual things, because in the spectrum of humans, we have the animalistic level, which is sensory, the sensual things, and as you go up more and more in the human, potentiality, whatever, you start getting into mental. So first is like body, physical, animalistic, all this. Then you get into mental, and it's like the desire to learn, the desire to read, the desire to study, the desire to be creative. It's like all these mental things that are higher up. And then after that is the spiritual, which is the desire to connect with, God, connect with your higher self, connect to have a spiritual connection, a spiritual understanding, a spiritual seeking. So I'm kind of right now like the mental-ish, spiritual, like I'm getting back to my, like I'm motivated again to get back into my spirituality, and I'm doing a lot of mental work. I'm reading a lot. I'm like creating some stuff. Like I'm really mental right now. And right now for me, like the sexual stuff, yeah, I can get back into like seduction, and yeah, I can have sex with a lot of women or one woman or whatever. But it's like I look at that right now as below me. It's like I see that as like just a sensual thing. It's like scratching my leg, like, and it doesn't motivate me right now. What motivates me is to learn, to create, to study, to grow as a person, and also my spirituality. So that's kind of what I want to say, and that's how I feel right now. Obviously, because you're holding so much energy, like it's difficult to stay like this, but it's really key, I think, to watch your eyes, watch your mind, because if you start to uh, if you start to entertain lust, that's when it becomes like really difficult, because you start smelling the animalistic level, and it starts smelling nicer and nicer and nicer, and you start getting attracted to it. So it's better just to cut it off completely, and that way your mind can kind of like get more attracted into those higher pursuits, making music, all these things, even socializing. It's just a higher thing, like giving charity, things that are, because if you think about like sex and all this, it's really selfish in a way. Yeah, you're making love to another person, but it's really like it's really kind of like sensual. It's very like for your own pleasure, and there's really nothing more beyond that. So I don't know, that's where I'm standing right now, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Goodbye.